Ex-Fox News host Megyn Kelly is in hot water after a recent interview with Rich Lowry, the editor-in-chief of National Review. That is a conservative news and opinion magazine. Megyn Kelly was interviewing Rich Lowry, and they were discussing the Haitian immigrant situation in Springfield, Ohio. And in defense of Vance, where he admitted to making up stories about Springfield, Rich Lowry dropped the N-word out of nowhere. And Megyn Kelly didn't skip a beat or say anything. This clip is wild. With the election less than 50 days from now and all the momentum in Kamala Harris's favor, you can feel Donald Trump getting more and more desperate. And now he's starting to surround himself with some truly vile people that are saying what he can't say out loud. And that includes individuals like Loomer, who accompanied him on the airplane to his debate in Philadelphia versus Kamala Harris. Loomer recently posted the following on Twitter. In a tweet that even Twitter had to say visibility limited, this post may violate X's rules against hateful conduct. Loomer wrote, "If Kamala Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry, and White House speeches will be facilitated via call center, and the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through a customer satisfaction survey at the end of the call that nobody will understand." That tweet was so foul that even Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, had to respond. She said the following: "This is appalling and extremely racist. It does not represent who we are as Republicans or MAGA. This does not represent President Trump. This type of behavior should not be tolerated ever. Loomer should take this down." Now, I'm only bringing this up because I think Trump is surrounding himself with these people so that they can say what he doesn't think he can get away with. But trust me, what Loomer says is what Donald Trump is thinking, and he wishes he could just say it. And another person in Trump's orbit that has been spreading nonsense is his VP running mate, JD Vance. JD is the one amplifying this story about Springfield, Ohio, claiming that Haitian immigrants are kidnapping and eating people's pets. JD was confronted about this on CNN over the weekend and said the following:
"I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast."
So JD Vance just flat out admitting that they're making up stories about what's happening in Springfield, Ohio. And that's where Megyn Kelly and her guest Rich Lowry come into the story. They were talking about JD Vance admitting to making up stories, and they decided to try to make up excuses for him and cope about it. And that is where Rich Lowry, again, editor-in-chief of National Review, a conservative news and opinion magazine, decided to drop the N-word out of nowhere. And Megyn Kelly didn't even flinch. And viewer warning, this is highly offensive.
Finally, he said something to the effect of, look, if we have to create stories in order to bring attention to what's happening, the media, he admits they made it up, right? As opposed to, and if you listen to the full clip, he says, by drawing attention to what's happening on the ground, it's just, as this line goes online, you don't hate the media enough. Go ahead.
You remember Alternative Facts with Kellyanne? They did the same thing. She wasn't saying you make up fictions and pretend they're facts. You bring other facts to bear in the debate that are being ignored. And that's what he was saying. And I think it was in that interview where Dana Bash says, the police have gone through 11 months of recordings of calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds. Only 2 calls. And I think one lesson of this whole story, people don't care about geese. People really hate geese. They all things considered, I think people would prefer Haitian migrants to come and take the geese off the golf course, right? So it's pets, it's the cats and dogs that's become the standard. Geese clearly don't matter.
I mean, I read online they're protected in Ohio, so you kind of.
How does she just go on to talk about geese? That is a wild thing for Rich Lowry to say, man. You don't just say that without thinking something like that. That's not something you accidentally say. And I tell you, it's only going to get worse between now and the election. The racism is on full display. These guys aren't even trying to hide it anymore. And Megyn Kelly not batting an eye when he said that and just going on with the conversation is truly something. Remember, this is the person that was fired from NBC News back in 2018 because they were defending blackface on national television.
So there was a controversy on The Real Housewives of New York with Luann as she dresses Diana Ross and she made her skin look darker than it really is. And people said that that was racist. And I don't know, I thought, like, who doesn't love Diana Ross? She wants to look like Diana Ross for one day. I don't know how, like, that got racist on Halloween. But what is racist? Because truly, you do get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface on Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as, like, a character.
Megyn Kelly quickly learned why that was inappropriate to say because she issued an apology on NBC News shortly thereafter.
And I want to begin with 2 words. I'm sorry. You may have heard that yesterday we had a discussion here about political correctness and Halloween costumes. And that conversation turned to whether it is ever okay for a person of one race to dress up as another. A black person making their face lighter or a white person making theirs darker to make a costume complete. I defended the idea, saying as long as it was respectful and part of a Halloween costume, it seemed okay. Well, I was wrong, and I am sorry.
Well, I don't think Megyn Kelly was actually sorry because she just said the following about 6 months ago.
Last night was the 96th Academy Awards show, and while you might have missed it, there was one clear winner. No, not Oppenheimer. It was sanctimonious leftists for their lead role in pretending they are better than you. Several people shared in this achievement. Winner number 1, Jimmy Kimmel. For the 4th time, Kimmel hosted the Oscars before an adoring crowd of Hollywood stars who laughed and curried favor with the man who wore blackface so many times he's second only to Justin Trudeau in his fondness for the practice. Yes, some of the very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities and it wasn't a big deal. Absolutely ate up the performance by Hollywood darling Mr. Kimmel.
So it's not surprising to me that Megyn Kelly didn't skip a beat when her guest Rich Lowry uttered the N-word on her show. Look, we knew this sort of racism would start coming out once Kamala Harris became the candidate for the Democratic Party. There's a lot of people out there that are uncomfortable with a black woman being president of the United States. But Kamala Harris knew this was coming. She's well prepared to deal with it. I'm not worried about her. We just got to get through these next 50 days. Hopefully things will calm down after that. And I would say that Megyn Kelly and Rich Lowry owe the American people an apology for these racist remarks, but I have a feeling that they don't care and we'll probably see them both invited to be on Donald Trump's airplane soon.